So you love the look of film, but don't have the spare cash to burn through rolls every time you pick up a camera. We get it. Film can't be replicated, but we can get close. In today's video, I do my best to edit our digital images to look like the film photos we shot on Kodak Portra 400. I'll share what I'm looking at to emulate film, what I'm adjusting in Lightroom, and all the tricks I know to get as close to our film reference images as I possibly can. Let's dive in and see how close I can get. All of our digital images were shot on a Sony a7 III with a vintage 58mm lens with manual focus. I chose to shoot with this lens to help reduce some of the digital sharpness and add some extra character and imperfection. It's worth mentioning that I'm by no means an expert when it comes to analysing film characteristics. I'm simply doing my best to recreate what I'm seeing. When editing to look like film, I found it easiest to have a film reference image taken in the same location and lighting conditions as the digital image. Keep in mind that film colours and other characteristics vary depending on the film stock, the development and scanning process, and also whether the film is expired. By the end of this video, you'll have a good idea of what tools to use in Lightroom to emulate some key filmy characteristics. But if you want to skip all of this, you can simply purchase our DigiFilm preset pack linked in the description. I'm going to jump straight into just our main tone curve. I'm going to put a point in the dead center. Something that is common with film is that the blacks tend to be a little bit lifted. So I've got a point in the middle, and what I'm going to do is just bring down the white point just a little bit, and I'm going to lift up the black point a little bit as well. All right, so you can see that's just sort of faded things a little bit. Now our film image is still pretty contrasty, so I'm going to add a little bit of an S to this curve, just really subtle. Your tone curve makes pretty significant changes. So I'm going to keep the S really subtle. And so I'm really looking at skin tones. I feel like skin tones are really important when it comes to photography. So I just really want to see how the film is impacting the skin tone, how we're going for highlights and shadows. So I'm just really looking at those things. I can see we're sort of losing a bit of detail in the shadows here on the film image. So what I might do, I'm just going to lift the blacks just a little bit more in the shadows. Again, I'm no expert, I'm just literally just playing around to see what I can do and how close I can get it to the film image. So let's now have a look at our basics panel. I'm just going to bring down the exposure a little on this image as well. I can see in the film image that we do have quite bright highlights, so I want to retain that. Maybe I'm going to bring down the blacks, lift the shadows just a little bit, and adjust the contrast as well. I think I'm pretty happy with the way the whites are, but if I adjust the highlights a little, so I'm just sort of adjusting, seeing how it impacts the image, bringing things back if I feel like it's not quite where I want it to be. Okay, I think the next thing I'm going to look at really is this colouring, because that is a lot of what we love about film photography is the colours that it produces. For me, I'm feeling like the film image is a lot greener, so the first thing I'm going to adjust is just my white balance, maybe somewhere there. You know, film also has this nice softness, so I might even reduce the clarity a little bit and maybe even make my dehaze slider. So I'm just going to drag the dehaze to the left, which is going to take away, just going to sort of bloom the highlights a little bit, just soften some edges, maybe even reduce the texture. Okay, let's look at some colour. So I'm going into the colour mixer. Now something I love using is this point colour sort of eyedropper tool where I can just pick up just a really specific tone. So let's try and match the colour of this jumper here. So it's a lot greener, I think. Bring that across the green. All right, then let's look at these skin tones. So skin in general, very more saturated. So I'm just gonna pump that up a little bit just so I can see what I'm working with. And then I think it's actually pinker. So let's drag it more to the pink. I feel like that's getting there. Yeah, I don't mind that. So the thing here too is, while I love the film image, I'm also going to do it to do the digital sort of preset to my taste. So if my preference is to have it like maybe not quite as pink, somewhere in the middle, then I'm going to keep it like that. I think what we might need, if I go to my color grading panel, if we jump into the shadows, I just want to put a little bit more green in the shadows here. Okay, yeah, actually that's helping as well. And let's just reduce this a little bit. All right, and I'm actually thinking I might add, while we're in the color grading, just in the highlights, just a tiny bit of pink. Yeah, maybe there. but I'm going to keep it pretty subtle, so bring that saturation down. So let's just do a quick before and after. So that's our before. Here's our after. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Now, something else that is going to be really key in getting this looking a lot more filmy is some grain. So let's go down to the effects panel. It's just to start with, add a lot of grain so we can see it. Really bring up that grain. Let's make it a bit rougher. These images were shot on Kodak Portra 400, so not super grainy, but still a significant amount of grain. Let's bring up the size as well. Good to have it quite high. I think that's going to help it feel filmy. You can see that's sort of taken away some sharpness too. We don't have really sharp edges. If we look at this again, I'm just really struck by the blacks. So I'm wondering if I bring down my blacks even more, but I don't want it too contrasty. Cool, I'm kind of happy with that. I feel like we've got the colors close-ish. I mean, it's not a perfect match, but yeah, I don't mind that. So I continued to edit more of the images from this photo shoot, copying across settings, tweaking colors, and adjusting sliders. The key panels I worked in were the curves, creating a subtle S-curve focusing on lifting the blacks. The basic panel, adjusting each slider until I felt it was close to my reference. The color mixer panel, using the point color for really targeted tone adjustments. I did then move to the HSL color mixer when creating our final preset for more general color adjustments. And I also worked in the color grading panel. I added green to the shadows, yellow, orange to the midtones, and a small amount of pink to the highlights. I found as I was editing other images, I would shift the shadows more towards the blue if it suited it better, and sometimes the highlights more towards the yellow, just based off personal preference. Then finally I worked in the effects panel, adding some fairly significant grain. And that was it. I did start with our T&J base preset, zeroing everything except some minor adjustments in the red, green and blue curves. If you're keen to create your own film-inspired preset, I would recommend doing what we did, shooting both film and digital and seeing if you can get them to match. However, as mentioned, if you're keen to skip this step, you can purchase our Digifilm preset pack, linked in the description. It's the preset I created in this video with some additional tweaking and testing afterwards, and with a few different versions included as well. All sales help support this channel and keep us creating tutorials and videos for you. Thanks a million if you pick up our preset pack. We hope you found this tutorial helpful. Feel free to drop any questions in the comments and share your own editing tips. If you want to see how we shot the film images in this video, you can check out the full behind the scenes here. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.